Bafsin Green Construction and Trading Abama Ghana for. Say Juma Kwedu and Juma Fatas on. And to say your hotel, school, hospital, bank, offices, and the Westy. Now Pobiam and to Mutas amount there. And then I make come for Bafsin Green Construction and Trading at the amount. Obuan was in down a won't you. Emane ha crampo, and Posabro train hour. No, so West Sufia or Ghana, now Pobiam and to Mutas amount there. And yana me can for Bafsin Green Construction and Trading at the amount. The Yanni so benye mujidie, your 2 bathroom tiles, compound tiles, swimming pool tiles, kitchen tiles, and in yakeka home. Then it is summer woman said, so pass Seattle. Now do location Maya, the Yanni say ya Ghana, ye benya be the amount. Na yan juicy candy, yan dada, said young crofobidi, young crofobino. A sunset task would you make any dintino, yet on cement, natural stones. Tile cement, slabs, marble tiles, and nobody lay a so a supply. A sense of Juma Hotel, not sure need to know. You were a boarding cracks are a certificate, a treasure your fat entity. Obetini a friend whom a true for so 0505 62 68 23 0505 62 68 23. Oba we a breaku, Waja, adequate winning by quantum pona so. Bafsin Green Construction and Trading. We do it just the way you love it.
Addo from Mama Kwaba by the Punch TV. So, my source and any day the kind of her channel. Yeah, or subscribe it. Am I and like and share. We also our join share or comment section or also edit account. So, I subscribe so that I better see young coupon on show. On Trewashi. A bushing for some I make a say. A story be now theater for Mama and go for Trinity Abasa. Social media and also the Oko say, baby, I'll be Fabia and I'm ho. And I just say the Punch TV so the fan come here, Yahoo for. In Tiasia of our story, and I say they are bear her for say, or Munji, no Munti, no Musun Hibi, no Munti and Samaya Coso, or a Ghana, I we. I was in for my uncle, Nunkoti, as 7 and right by the moon inch Munina as her ever brem.
Very much.
I want us to look at Ghana as a country and the fight against corruption. Despite the office of the Auditor General transcending the 1992 Constitution, we find that there's still a lot of financial misconduct in the public sector. Why is that?
Well, the truth about life is that wherever people find opportunities, they would like to misbehave or abuse the opportunity if the controls are not working. And like I keep saying that if there are no consequences for financial malpractices, if people think they can get away with it, it will continue. So I believe that because the system has not been set up clearly to ensure that it doesn't matter who you are, if you go contrary to the rules, the sanctions will be administered on you. That's why I think that a level of impunity is keep growing and growing every time. So I think that may largely account for where we are now.
I mean, but should we always be punishing people for them to do right? I mean, at some point, the individual public sector workers would have to start to take responsibility for how they behave with the public purse.
It's debatable, but to me, where there are no deterrents in misbehavior, people tend to misbehave. I give example or analogy of the same Ghanaian who is transported or travels to a different environment. Maybe he arrives in London today or US today. Without any orientation, he starts behaving because, you know, this system will not tolerate me. I'll give you a very quick example of my friend who picked me from my house. We got to the airport. We flew to London together. And the next morning, he was driving. In Ghana, he was driving. He gave the key to the driver and went away. And the next morning, he was driving. After 30 minutes, I asked him, Nana, what has changed? And he said, what? He said, the way you were driving yesterday is very different from the way you are driving today. You are even smiling at pedestrians who are not close to the road. You stop, smile at them, allow them to cross. But you are not giving that opportunity to Ghana. What has changed? He said, well, this system will not tolerate you.
Indeed.
So the system tolerates misbehavior.
I see.
Hence, it is growing.
So in our case, who should be doing the sanctioning? And what kinds of sanctioning are you talking about? What do you envisage?
Well, when we talk about the system should be working, the buck stops with the president, the top, of course. Discipline cannot be enforced from below. It comes from the top down. Actually, in financial management, we say it storms at the top and drizzles at the bottom. If there's enough storm at the top, the drizzles will be enough for us. So the tone from the top actually determines whether the people are going to take it or not. You go to some countries, not even outside Africa, go to Rwanda and see. The tone from the top is very clear that you misbehave, you face it. So everyone is doing whatever it is. I was even telling some people that the level of cleanliness that I even find in their homes is interesting because they realize that it has become a culture more or less. You can't go out and misbehave, and that affects even behavior at home. So the first thing we do is to ensure that we have a leadership which is committed to doing this. That is why I believe many Ghanaians, including you, if you are not included, I was included, believe the president when he said, I will protect the public purse. And he said that if you want to make money, don't come into government, go to the private sector. So, you know, this is a guy who is not going to spare anyone. So, and I've been in public service for a very long time. You may not know this. Whenever there is a change in government, public servants, they sit back and watch whether it's going to be business as usual or it's going to be a change. After a few months, they say, it's business as usual.
Really?
You see the misbehavior starts.
What was the consensus with the Akufo-Addo administration?
Well, the promises or the rhetorics was far higher than what we are seeing on the ground. And of course, disciplinary measures are swiftly put in place against those who don't belong to the group. But there are some people who we can all see clearly that this guy is committing atrocities or infractions, and he or she continuously get away with it.
I see. But, you know, the president and this administration made some decisions, one of which was you.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a bit. But another decision they made was to set up the Office of the Special Prosecutor, which was also to tackle or help tackle corruption. Again, instead of analyzing the OSP, I want to find out from you how these institutions work together with the Office of the Auditor General.
First and foremost, let me say that it is not the number of institutions that we have which will help us do the work. I find it also a bit even disturbing that anytime Mr. A is not able to do his work, we set up Mr. B. Mr. B joins, is not able to do, we put in Mr. C. So we keep creating several institutions. You notice that we have a police service. We have the criminal CID or the criminal investigation department. There's something of financial unit, I've forgotten the exact name. We have the Yoko. We have CHRAJ, Commission for Human Rights, established by the Constitution itself. We have several investigating financial intelligence unit, and now we have Office of the Special Prosecutor. Well, if it is not working, what else are we going to have? Are we going to continue building several institutions, or we just strengthen the institutions on the ground, mandate them properly, and ensure that they deliver on their mandate? I am of the view or the opinion that if there was the need for bringing in any other institution, we first look at the existing institutions and see, are they not capable of doing what is supposed to be done? What is the missing link? Is it the legislation? So those powers can be given to existing institutions because, mind you, corruption, just as wasteful expenditure, equally denies citizens the benefit of the public funds. So if you are creating too many institutions which are not delivering, you are being wasteful. In fact, in South Africa, the law refers to it as wasteful and fruitless expenditure. I like it so much. It's a fruitless and wasteful expenditure. So if you continue creating fruitless and wasteful expenditure, it's as bad as corruption. Because at the end of the day, the public purse, which is supposed to use in serving the public interest, is not used in serving the public interest. Do you think
that's what this government did with the creation of the OSP?
I'm not saying directly, but what I'm trying to say is that we could have first look at the existing institutions and see, can we change their mandate? And mind you, assuming today, in fact, if God forbid, I'll never be a president of Ghana, so forget about it. If I were made a president, I would still look at the possibility of combining Yoko and Office of the Special Prosecutor. Do you know why? Because Yoko is already established in all the regions and the districts. So if you combine them, it saves the nation a lot of money. Now look at the amount of money which is being used to set up just the OSP. If we need to roll it out throughout the country. How much do you think we need to do that? It's going to be a lot of money. So at the end of the day, there is a lot of fruitless and wasteful expenditure.
Let's talk about when you were there, right? You've started speaking about the limitations of, the law that establishes the Office of the Auditor General. And you talked about how you'd have to go through Parliament for a long debate and all that. What other limitations exist as far as the establishment of the Auditor General's office is concerned?
I don't see a legal limitation on the mandate of the Auditor General, because Auditor General is not something unique to Ghana. It is a universal concept. And if you look at the concept universally, you will agree with me that even the Ghanaian Auditor General is more powerful, he has more scope than many others. Except that in financial management, again, there's something we call segregation of duties. It's not like football where you can take ball from pool to pool. You must pass the ball to someone to also do. That is why you don't have one person going on the field investigating, prosecuting, and judging at the same time. Different layers must come into play. So as far as the mandate of the Auditor General is concerned, I think it is adequate, except to say that utilizing the mandate is where normally we fall short, because utilizing the mandate requires that you step on toes. Like when you are going to disallow and surcharge, you are sure that people will fight back, especially if they are one of the untouchables. That will definitely come. So it is not a matter of the law not being adequate. Some people also mistakenly think that the Auditor General should also be prosecuting people. No, that is not part of the Auditor General's mandate.
It's not, but do you think that it would give the Auditor General more powers, perhaps, to be able to do what it's supposed to do, so you don't just bark?
The Auditor General doesn't just bark. The Auditor General already bites. Because if I disallow and surcharge, according to Section 17 of the Audit Service Act, if you are a public servant, that money should be taken from your salaries, so I can recoup it. Okay? So it does not just bark. And giving prosecutory authority to the Auditor General, I think may be a good thing, but also it is somebody's mandate. If we go under Article 88 of the Constitution of Ghana, that is the mandate of the Attorney General. So Attorney General should be doing his work instead of Auditor General now going to take over the Attorney General's work. I think what is necessary rather is the Attorney General coming in timely to assist the Auditor General to prosecute some of those cases.
How many of such collaborations did you have while you were in office?
I must say next to zero. We didn't have that level of collaboration. What I did was every single disallowance or surcharge that I did, I copied the Attorney General. He was always on it, because I thought it was a potential case of criminality or something of the sort. And of course, it is only he who determines what is can be prosecuted and cannot be prosecuted.
And did you ever hear back on those that you wrote to?
No, I didn't. I remember even once I even wrote the Attorney General to say that according to a provision, I think under Section 27 of the PFM Act, he is supposed to produce a report to show the status of how he has implemented the recommendations of Auditor General and follow up on his cases, and send it to Parliament, copy the Minister of Finance and the Auditor General, but I've not seen my copy. So he should serve me with copies of what he has done so far.
Face value, how many cases did you copy the Auditor General in and you never heard back?
Attorney General, you
mean? The Attorney General, yes.
Several. There are several. I issued more than 100 certificates, and none of them went without copying him. Because before designing the system, we looked at how do we tackle it? Who are the stakeholders? By law, who are the people who must be informed? And remember, I have a legal team. So my legal team advised that since some of these things, especially based upon Occupy Ghana versus Attorney General, where in the, what we call it, consequential orders issued by the Supreme Court, they stated the last consequential order was to the Attorney General, that he should take actions against people who have been surcharged or held responsible by the Auditor General. So we thought it was necessary to bring
Yama obi akwa baba Mansa Media College. Mansa Media College a school power a TV so any radio so dwumadie. Ya so ye e wo Kumase atonsu. Baby a wo bia o pese ba Mansa Media College a na be hu dwumadie ye di ne hono a yentie dwumadia edino amansan media college
say usua bribi wo media mu ana opese ohunu bribi biara efa media ho enso eche kra
amansan media college e wo homam
ye wa achechefo a wakwadire yie wa adetwem na in studio ni ye newsroom de editwam wonsam twem no ye kire bribi ti se kasebo akenkan ni sinitwa ni bebura ekeka ho wa multimedia mu nso ye kire bribi ti se sini mfoni asiesie mfoni nitwa ni bebura ekeka ho ye betumi nso aboa ama wo de na otwepe asunya bribi wo nkitahodie adwuma ahodo nyinaa mu esan se ye wo yankasa foni nti aboe biara ye ma ya adesuafo kwan ma okọ de ya twerɛ won adesua dan mu no
ahwefo ehu ekame ese obi biara wo le bosomtwe ase enim abakosema efa nsuo ihu menya abofra ketewa bi wa ha ono so se onim abakosema efa le bosomtwe ho
abusuafo ye mama kwaba eba Ghana Pages TV so emra so se the trending issues ne ekoso ewo abefo tentan fidie ni so ebesomo midin na naje wa akode
amansan media college e ma o de we hia bia wo nkutahodie mu